many of you are looking for record deals. He's like, one of the best ways to get a record deal is to not try and get one. And his whole thing was, all you have to focus on really is just making great music. But given this day and age and time, one of the things I said on there is that great music, unfortunately, is not enough. And sometimes great music isn't even required.
So back to what I was saying.
What's up, friends, family, and fans? Welcome to Life On Podcast. This is where we listen and inspire friends in entertainment.
And everywhere, still.
Because life happens to everyone. It is I, Stone Stafford, with my ride or die,
Johnny Vaughn. What up?
What up, man? Life has been lifing. We'll get you guys caught up on all that kind of stuff a little later. Well, yeah, some of it will be pretty private. I was on IG, okay, and I don't think it was Ike Dirty's page. It was someone's thing that came across my feed.
Okay.
So this guy named Pete Gambark. Now, when I knew Pete, he was at Arista, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. He was at Arista under L.I.F.E. And yeah, I think so, because I used to always get Pete Gambark and Peter Thea mixed up until I met them. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so he was giving advice for artists nowadays, and he was like, many of you are looking for record deals. He's like, one of the best ways to get a record deal is to not try and get one. All right. Mm-hmm. So, and then he broke down his reasons why. And so I felt the need to chime in, and it wasn't to correct him, because I agreed actually with every single thing that Pete said.
Okay.
I just felt like some expounding should happen, just because I know how some of these people think, because we deal with them all the time. And so I kind of expounded on the fact that I agree that you shouldn't look for a record deal or try to get a record deal. And his whole thing was, all you have to focus on really is just making great music, and that'll get you where you need to be. So, again, I agree.
Okay.
But given this day and age and time, one of the things I said on there is that great music, unfortunately, is not enough. And sometimes great music isn't even required. Sadly.
Most of the time at this point, I think.
Sadly to say, we have lowered the bar on what's required where great creativity is concerned.
I'm finna be me. There's still a bar?
So
I'm just being real. Is there still a bar? I don't...
Right. No, seriously. And so that's what I want to talk about is like, does having a major record deal, does that hit the same or does that hit differently nowadays? Because there was a time when someone would say Universal recording artist, Sony recording artist, and you were like, oh, because...
Shoot, the artists used to shout the labels out on songs.
Yeah, because it took something to be there, and it was truly a thing where not everyone can get here. There was a value and there was something special to that. But Neo did a post a while ago and he was like, it used to be like an exclusive club.
Yeah.
And he wasn't saying that to be pretentious. He meant like you had to do some stuff to get here. He's like, now, like the party's open to everybody.
Yeah. I think it doesn't matter at all at this point.
If you have a major record deal.
If you have a major record deal. At all.
In any way, shape, or form.
I don't think, and I think it's almost a negative to an extent now with the way things have been gauged. Huh. I think it's become a negative because it restrains the artists to an extent, because obviously the labels are going to be asking for more than they've ever asked for before. Budgets are not what they used to be. Labels not coming behind you, giving you $500,000 to go to the studio and produce a record. They want you to come to them with a record already done, and then marketing budget which was a part of the deal as well. But I mean, now, if I can go to direct to consumer and cut the middleman out, I'm taking my profits from 5 to 9% to 80 to 90%. I mean, and the money has become what how much money or how much am I getting out of this has become literally the driving factor.
So it's a Pete's point.
Okay.
Which again, I agree. He was like, and I think he used, was it 21 Pilots? Some band. I want to say it was like 21 Pilots or something like that. But it was someone he signed. But you had this band and you go to their market, right? Their city or their region, and the shows are sold out. And let's say Atlanta. So you got Greater Atlanta, right? Selling out all the shows. Then you hop over to Mississippi. Crickets.
Yeah.
No one's really even heard of these people, blah, blah. And so Pete was saying, as a label exec, I'm going to say, okay, they have it. They just don't have the resources to scale.
Sure.
And so to me, I do think that is a benefit of a label. I tell people all the time, at the end of the day nowadays, not nowadays, because this has started 10, 15, 20 years ago, labels are banks.
Yeah.
Sure. They're there to bankroll your project. Now, if you get a good label, then they're going to provide support, resources from radio to touring. You can take artist development out of the picture now. You know what I mean? So those things like that. But at the end of the day, they're a bank.
Right.
And that's why in my my music business coach, I did a clip where it's like you should have a plan before you get a record deal. You just ask yourself, all right, what do I need this record deal for? Well, I need the money to make an album. That is not enough. You know, that's like you sitting there saying, I want to be richer than I am today. Well, I'll give you $1. You are literally richer than you were yesterday. So you have to be specific. Like, what do I need this record deal for? What do I need this record deal to do for me? That needs to be written out. And then come up with the costs of those things. I need this amount, this amount. That's going to do. Now when they're coming at you with like, oh, I'm going to sign you for $1 million, but you're going to owe us 6 albums and blah, blah, blah. You be like, well, for what I really need to do to make it happen, I really don't need $500,000. So now you don't have these commitments. Now you're not under the restraint that you said labels sometimes can put an artist under. So you just have to be smart, you know, about the same.
Something else? I don't
no, all
cut
day.
Into it.
No, cut into it.
Just point out one thing that from your example, it was a touring example, which is a huge chunk of what artists make in a lot of cases. Now, some artists are
probably.
Yeah, but I mean, a bunch of artists are being cool with you know if they're able to get 30 million streams on YouTube, whatever that residual is, some of them are happy doing that.
Well, you know what those are? Those are the ones that are about the fame and the clout.
And that's what I'm saying.
Not about building a career.
I wanted to point out that, you know, if we're using that example and the touring is the aspect of it that's important, then sure. But there's so many other ways that artists are able to make money now. That the touring aspect of it may not be the biggest part. My favorite clip in the world is hearing Michael talk about hating touring. Like, he didn't like to do it, couldn't stand doing it. There's some artists that absolutely can't stand doing it. And however much money they're going to make out of it, regardless of how many tens of millions
that, though, because they were selling units. Mike didn't have to worry about, when he made that comment, streaming was an income stream for Mike.
That's true.
He literally saw money from the work he was making. You know, I mean, even then it wasn't fair, but he saw the money. Nowadays, you're not seeing the money.
But I mean, again, this may be a dangerous comment to make.
Make it.
We watched it go from wanting to be an artist, being my dream is the reason to doing it, to doing it for the money, being the reason, to now it's the clout. It's not even so much the money. Like, some people are cool with just being famous and not even having the money
until they become famous and then see they have no money.
And this is true. That's true. But I'm just that's a reality that I'm noticing with a bunch of artists that's out there now. They're not worried about the money. They can say, I didn't care about signing the deal. I wasn't paying attention to all the legal aspect of it. I just just want to get my name out there. And I'm just like, so it's literally clout chasing.
So and then again, have a plan, right?
Yeah.
If you have a plan for that clout, fine. Like, if you can go out there and get endorsement deals or get TV spots or whatever because you're so popular, because that's where ads fall in love with you.
Absolutely.
Advertising falls in love with you if you're something like that. So sure, that's fine, but
that's a legit business model now. Like, you've got people legitimately famous for no reason.
Straight up.
But
gosh, it is ruining everything.
But I mean, that following carries them into ad deals that established people can't even touch. So that's why I say
I mean, you can literally just be a white chick and say, with improper English, "Catch me outside." How about that? And you are a multimillionaire. What, crazy. 2 years later?
It's crazy. That's a throwback now. But yeah,
it's a throwback now, isn't it? Nuts?
But I mean, I think that's where.
And the problem is now everyone thinks they can do it.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's gotten to the point to where that has solidified the validation of a label almost being a hindrance in a sense. That's going to come with restrictions and stipulations on what you can do image-wise, all of that stuff. If you're still an indie or you rocking it yourself, you can do whatever you want to for as much clout as you want. And then once that following is there, you can shop that to advertisers and marketers however you want to with no limitations from worrying about the image of another brand. So
the short answer is no.
Short answer.
Having a major label deal is not what it used to be.
What it used to be at all. No.
At all. Like, I've had people all the time. It's like, oh yeah, they signed to Sony. Only reason I would get happy is because Great. That means I can charge what I need to charge at the studio. I have a PO and I'm going to get my money.
Right.
That's the only thing about you being signed to a label that impresses me in any way, shape,
Check
or
probably
form.
not going to bounce. Might
Right.
not be
Check
net
is
60,
probably not going to bounce.
but it's probably not going to bounce.
You know what I'm saying? So that's about it. So people are like, oh, yeah, I'm signed to Universal. What does that even mean?
Yeah.
Because chances are you're probably signed to a production company with the deal with Universal. So Universal's still just giving you money to do what you don't know how to do anyway.
That, going back to my story, is one of the prime reasons why I didn't sign that deal, because it wasn't a deal directly with Universal. It was another production company that had a deal.
Right.
And I was like, you're going to be owning me, and there's no guarantee with that. Like, who am I connected to?
There's no guarantee anyway.
So a lot of that stuff doesn't guarantee what it used to.
And you need to understand too, if you are on the label, that that's for easy math. Let's say a label has 100 artists, right? We'll be generous. 90 of those artists are being paid by the top 10 superstars
No
on
question.
the label.
Yeah.
That's it. That's why you
80-20
can go
rule.
on these websites now. Go on any major website you want and click on artists, and you will see tons
Get the list of people you ain't never heard
names
of
you
before.
ain't never heard of.
Yeah.
Ever. Ever. Shout out to Chris Tucker. So at the end of the day, that's why I agree with Pete. You know, don't try to get a record deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't try. Just go out there, do you, be you, which is another thing, because now everyone's copying whatever hit. You know what I mean? It's just do you, be you. And the bottom line is the part you have to understand, granted, there are some people that have kind of figured out a little bit of a formula to this thing.
Of course.
But for the most part, you kind of can't call it. You know, you kind of can't call it. I was driving up to, where was I going? I guess it doesn't matter. But it was somewhere up in the mountains. And it was some kind of retreat. And there was a windy road. And so just for fun, I was just like, oh man. And I realized I was thinking about my family and my friends. I'm going to make them think I was speeding on this road. So I put my camera up on the thing, driver's view, point of view, and I was driving up the road. Then I went back, I sped it up, and then I added some sound effects. And it really did look like I was speeding on the thing. And I posted it.
Yeah.
I had, and this is for me, y'all, because I'm not anybody super famous yet. You know what I mean? So I had, within an hour, I think I had 1,000 views on it, right? And then someone said, is that, and I forgot the name of it now, not Snake Mountain, but there's a very popular trail that does that. I think motorcycles.
Dragon's Tail or something
Dragon's
like that?
Tail.
Yeah.
I swear, dude. Every time I think you don't know something, like, this guy be coming out with some random knowledge. I did that one time. We were playing trivia, and it was like, what is the tribe where you could be 12 years old as a king? And it was in Africa. I was like, oh, those are the blah, blah, blah. The whole family
Everybody looks like, what?
Why do you even know that? And I looked at it and I was like, I don't know where I got that from. But I love trivia, though. I'm always reading trivia.
Yeah.
This fool's at Dragon's Tail. I'm like, exactly.
That's the one.
So anyway, everyone thought it was Dragon. So then the whole conversation happened around Dragon's Tail. Oh, I've been on that. And someone, no, that ain't Dragon's Tail. He's going too small. That looks just like Dragon's Tail. I've seen that turn. And I think I can go on today. I think that it was on TikTok. I'm at and again, I'm not super famous, but I want to say that thing is in the 6 figures as far as views and comments and stuff is concerned.
Yeah.
Technically viral. Wasn't planned at all. So the thing is, and the stuff that you think is going to be so cool, like, wah,
That's the stuff I don't care about.
wah.
I was having a conversation with somebody about us, like our episodes, and like the ones that I thought were going to be the biggest ones.
Yeah, me too.
And like the ones that had the most gems from my perspective. Like nobody hit.
Nobody
and then the two that it's just me and you shooting a breeze over some foolishness.
Right.
And I'm just like, why does anybody care about any of that stuff?
Yeah. And it's relatability and all that, but we still can't even foresee that.
You can't.
What folks are going to relate
I experienced it when I was still doing the
Shout out to Troy Taylor
Absolutely.
right now, who has the highest playing episode.
No question.
Shout out to you, Trizoy.
When I was going through the whole Talk Tuesday
Oh, wait.
thing,
I'm sorry. Keep cutting you off.
What happened?
I was going through the TikTok. You said
want me to
Talk
remember
Talk,
this?
but TikTok.
I called it Talk.
But because you remember way better than I do.
Okay.
To our point, how you can't plan it. So Troy, and this is not a shot. All right. And if Troy was here, he'd be like, no, go ahead, man. So Troy is a person of excellence, as I like to be. As I like to be. So his episode was a tad bit grainier than the stuff he puts up. Why? We're using 1080p cameras. He uses 4K.
Yeah.
All right. He sees that difference. He likes that difference. That's his brand. He prefers that difference.
Well,
So he was like, Stone, is there any way you can clear this up? Blah, blah, blah. I said, not really 1080p. And when we zoom in on you, it gets a little grainier. So long story short, to protect his brand, he never really posted any of the clips that he was on his accounts. I wasn't mad at him. I'm not mad at him because I get it. And to a degree, I didn't want to post any because it's not how we want to be. But I was like, I have no choice, So I just put his thing up. Lo and behold, one of the grainier episodes we have is our most viewed episode. And that is strictly to our point, how sometimes a lot of the things we're paying attention to because we think this is what's going to make it hot, this is what's going to make. At the end of the day, sometimes none of that matters. The content is what matters.
Absolutely.
But then you don't know what sometimes that content is. Is it doing the imitation dragon tail? Or is it you getting up and hitting your hip on the table and be like, ah! And then all of a sudden, all of these things. Sometimes you just don't know.
Yeah.
So TikTok.
I wasn't going to do it, but I mean, it's, we don't need to now because you pointed it out. I'll tell you what it was. It was my plan thing, and I call it Talk on purpose because it was the whole dad dance thing because I used to do those.
I used to hate those.
You hated them because you couldn't do them.
They made me feel uncomfortable.
You was a hater because he couldn't do them.
They made me feel very uncomfortable
But when
watching
the TikTok viral dance video thing was a huge craze, I got in on it, and I would do some. Now I stopped doing it because they started getting a little questionable.
God.
But so the ones that I thought were going to be the highest viewed, highest shared, nobody cared about them. There was one when I was just acting stupid, and it was oh man, I can't even think of what song it was now. But I did the whole I had the towel on, like I was just getting out the shower, I put the thing on my head, and I just did it just to be stupid.
Well, that went popular because we're trying to feminize masculinity anyway.
But that's the thing. That was one of those ones that it could have easily been. But hindsight being 2020, if I was really thinking about how people project stuff and how they actually consume it, I would have known
that plugged into the agenda anyway.
Yeah, I would have known.
Trying to feminize masculinity. So.
I should have taken it down, but I mean, it was funny, so I left it. But it was one of those things where you can see it doing, and I was doing that setup to go back. Hindsight, you can look at what you did, how you did it, and where you were planning, and why it ended up not becoming the highest one, based off of exactly what you just said. Right. What is the agenda? What's being pushed? And major labels aren't what's being pushed.
Not
again, DTC is what is the way to go, and that way you can control direct to consumer. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
And that's
I was like, say DIY, DTP.
No more acronyms. Stop that before we. Right. But you control exactly what the consumer gets. You control exactly how they see you, how they view you, and then you control their information.
And you can adjust as needed, very real time. Exactly. So again, short answer to the question: don't try to get a major director. Just do yourself. And at the end of the day, labels rarely, I can't say never, rarely do they try to create something unique. That typically has to be brought to them. Yeah. And then they hopefully try to expound on that. But that's another reason why majors wouldn't really work, because they're not trying to reinvent anything. And the problem with that is you have 100 million people out there doing what you do. So for you to go out there and look and sound and jump on a trend like everybody else, guess what you become? Everybody else. All right. So be unique, be yourself, be creative, put some time, energy, and thought into it. And then sometimes just be silly and let it do what it do. But at the end of the day, stop trying to be like somebody else. Just do you, man, and just go viral by yourself. Because like your mama said, you is impotent. StoneStafford.com. LifeOnPodcast.com.
Just Johnny Vaughn, all of your stuff. JUST.
2024, can we please start saying JohnnyVaughn.com?
Dude, stop it.
Can we do that?
Stop. Why are you getting in my business?
Because, man, you're part of this thing. You're the brand of this. There are three brands. There's Stone, Johnny, and Life on Podcast.
Y'all can find what y'all need to find where I just told you to find it at. You see, all up in my kitchen. You see, we're trying to cook. All
right, I'll let you play the mystery man.
Let me cook.
I'll be the front runner.
There you go.
There it is. You're the mystery guy.
Okay. All
right, we appreciate you. We love y'all. We are out. Peace.
So back to what I was saying. What I was saying.